The video today is about really a question to everyone. I'm not going to make a poll because there are only four usually. You can on LinkedIn you can do four sentence alternatives, so I don't want to relate that. I don't want to limit it. But do free lunch language services exist? I'm going to repeat this again. Do free lunch language services exist? What does that mean? Well, I'll refer back to a video I think I saw in 1993, maybe when I was teaching languages in a business school, in a kind of a business school or a business language service in Paris, and I saw a video of someone at maybe it was I think it's Coca-Cola. It was a leader at Coca-Cola who said that free lunches never exist. The concept of free lunches never exist. You always pay for it. So I'm going to bring that up now. So do free lunch language services exist? Now let's put in the context of big institutions, and so do the topics of like content writing. That could be technical writing, can be marketing content, it could be whatever writing. Um, does content writing exist for that's not being built, okay? And or does content editing, or does translation editing, revision, or machine translation, post editing, what do you want to call these things? There are lots of different flavors. Or interpretation. Now, do these exist without billing, without internal billing in large institutions? I'm not talking about small ad hoc requests in small business, because there are cases, yes, it does exist in small businesses, where startups and small business, I've done it before, where you don't have this service, it doesn't exist, and you got to do it, and you got to bring in money tomorrow for a quote, okay? Or you got to do this, being able to try to bring money in. So, or you haven't got the department yet, and you're going to do this, and if you do that right, and you might set up a department, 6 months down the lot and down the road. That exists in those things. I've done this many times in startups. Okay, that I totally understand that. In those contexts, you do that. Or it might happen in large companies. It does happen in large companies because I do this all the time too. We've got, I've got examples of like the nurses at work that might come to me and say, "Hey, Jeff, can you send me an email? Can you help us?" Or like an email we're trying to write to send it to all the employees about, the first aid training is going to come up, and so you want to do this, and they're trying to get the first email, and they're going to be re-saying that afterwards later. It's already edited, or they'll do the writing of it, or they're not sure, so or tobacco free kind of examples. I mean, there are lots of these things that this is just an email, and it's not very long, it's short, and the time to do this takes like 10 minutes to edit it if they've already written it. And if you got to help them write, it takes a little bit more. I mean, it's no big deal. It's 20 minutes. It's not. But the time to actually, if we actually had this as a service, to actually get a vendor, to have to go through the vendor procurement process, which I could tell you is a really long process because I've seen it happen, even in my own company. This is like 10 months, okay, or something, 8, 10, 12 months. To be able to do these little emails, it's like just the cost of setting it up, the whole procedure in order to be able to bill it, and the cost of actually processing just a ticket to do this either internally or externally is more costly than the service actually to do the task, okay? So that's not worth it. So there's a little ad hoc requests. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about these frequent every day or every other day requests that you're gonna, and it's a lot more content. It's more it's significant content. Okay, I'm not gonna quantify this, but it's just not a little email here and there. Okay, so does that exist? And I'm going to add to that. Does this in big companies? Okay. Now I'm going to give some other examples where it might exist, and for certain reasons, but maybe not. So it might exist in governments, okay, in government bureaus and departments, but all the citizens are paying, or more than citizens, all the people who live in the country are actually paying taxes, right? So in the end, it is being paid for by someone at the end, the user, the consumer at the end. I'm going to say consumer, but it isn't consumer of the content or whatever it may be. Is paying for it through just a different way. It's an indirect payment, okay? Or maybe in the religious institutions where you might have have services you're providing for counseling or whatever. But actually, if the people are actually, if the members are tithing, or what do you want to call these different ways of giving donations, that actually is kind of being paid for anyways by the people that are actually providing the services. So it's, fees or their salaries or whatever. It's being paid for in a different indirect way, right? Through that kind of donations. Or you might have it in nonprofit associations where, you might think of it. But if the members of the nonprofit are actually paying a membership fee, then they're actually paying for it. And you try to get as many members as you can to actually pay for the service that you're doing, right? Plus, you have some volunteers. People are volunteering the time to do that, but it's part of it. There actually is membership fees to actually cover some of the stuff, plus the volunteer work. Okay, so it's kind of, and people are doing the volunteer work to actually get a title, right? So it's kind of, it's marketing and stuff. They're getting some extra marketing out of it on their title and their CV to say that they're part of the board or something, or that to be able to do it. So that it's indirect payment, okay, for this kind of fee or whatever, or some of the things to make it happen. So you got the department to actually provide the advice or whatever. Okay. Now, maybe there are some true NGOs where you're providing the service to others. I'm thinking of like Translators Without Borders that's providing, services to, for translation. Or I'm thinking of like Clear Global right now. Or there are all these other ones, or maybe the Red Cross or stuff. I mean, who knows? I mean, these kinds of things where there are services being done, and maybe it is being provided without any strings attached. Okay. But there might be strings attached. So I'm kind of just trying to make us think in those cases, okay? But actually, they're not those cases. The cases are there companies or institutions or whatever. I mean, tell me, I'd like to know, and what your thoughts about it are. If there are services being done for translation or whatever, I can think of some more too, and I'll add to the thread. But where the services are being rendered or provided on a regular basis, without a ticket, without a fee, with no cross internal billing, and this is being done on a regular basis, and does it work? Does it actually work? How is it being done? Okay. I'm going to open it up for just kind of discussion here and debate, because it's going to be fun. And does it work? Or does it not work? That's what I'd like to hear. Sorry, I got a little background noise, but that's where we are. And what do you think about it? And is it successful or not? I mean, that's kind of the fun thing to hear about. And I'll add some more comments to the thread afterwards. But those I've seen. But yeah, let's get the discussion going here, and I want to get your feedback. But I just want to know if it's actually, our case is the word actually is successful and actually it really works well. That's what I want to know. Thanks.